Good evening. Good evening. My name is Ray Chickrie, and I welcome you to another Globespan community program. We welcome our listeners from across the world, Guyana, Suriname, and we will be connecting to Indonesia as well today. The United States, of course, Canada, Holland, and across the world in the diaspora. First, I would like to thank Devin, our tech person here at Globespan, for a wonderful job he has been doing and helping us to get this program off the ground. And also a big thank you to Mr. Nohar Singh for his sponsorship for these programs every day to enlighten the Guyanese, the Surinamese, the Caribbean community, the diaspora everywhere across the world. Today, we have two very special guests. We have with us His Excellency, the Ambassador of Indonesia to Suriname, CARICOM, and Guyana, His Excellency, Ambassador Julang Pujianto, and Miss Angelic Alihusain-Del Castillo. I'm going to give you a brief introduction of our two guests, and then I'll have them say something to you about themselves if I have missed anything. Our ambassador from Indonesia, His Excellency our ambassador hails from the island of Java and, of course, from Indonesia. He has several degrees from Australia and Indonesia and has been in diplomacy for the past 2 decades. Ambassador Pujianto was heading the Central America, South America, and Caribbean affairs at the Indonesian Foreign Ministry. Prior to that, he was stationed at the United Nations, third in command there, and then he was Consul General of the Republic of Indonesia in Canada. Devin, is it possible you can give me the facts of Indonesia, please? That slide of Indonesia. All right. Need my glasses here. So, Indonesia is the world's 6th largest economy, and I want my guests to really understand this importance that Indonesia is a major country in this globe. Indonesia is also a member of G20. It is the most populous Muslim country on the planet, with a population of approximately 375 million people. Indonesia was a Dutch colony from the 1600s until after World War II. The economy of Indonesia is the largest in Southeast Asia and is one of the emerging market economies. Indonesia is classified as a newly industrialized country. Indonesia is a major exporter of crude petroleum and natural gas, rubber, coffee, palm oil, tea, tobacco, copper, spices, and a major tourist destination. It's a major manufacturing power as well. Indonesia plays a major role in ASEAN. ASEAN is a group of Southeast Asian countries, and it is a founding member of that group. Indonesia, the president of Indonesia, I hope I'm correct, President Suharto, visited Suriname in 1995. And I hope in the near future, we will have another presidential visit, and this may include Guyana next door as well. Indonesia will be hosting a G20 summit, I think October and November this year. Next is our guest from Suriname, and she's Miss Angelic Alihusain-Del Castillo. I first met Angelic at the United Nations, Model United Nations. You remember Angelic?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes. She was the former ambassador to Indonesia. And she will give us her experience of that position she held, and tell us how we can go forward and what she see, and her recommendations are very vital because she has hands-on information. She's been a policy advisor at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Suriname. She's passionate about the development of her native Suriname, a founder of DA91. She's the chairwoman of DA91, a political party in Suriname. Ms. Angelique headed the Peace Corps projects in her native Suriname as well. Angelique was involved in the private sector. She was involved in the public sector. I believe also, I read, Angelique, you were involved in agriculture as well.
Yes, that was my first degree I got at the university. Yes, agriculture.
And we're talking food production now with a global food shortage. So this experience is going to be of great asset to you. She's a publisher as well. She will tell us more about her publication, and she holds a few degrees, one from the University of Malta. And Angelique speaks a few languages as well in addition, quite a bit. Now, Dr. Anwar Lall Mohamed has had to represent Suriname at the Islamic Development Bank, I believe, in Egypt. Then he had to go to Turkey on diplomatic mission, and he was flying this morning. So hopefully he can join us today. He is facing some constraints. Before I say more, is there anything I missed, Ambassador?
No, just maybe in the population of Indonesia, it was it should be 276 million, and you mentioned 370 million. Yes, 100 million less than.
Wow,
thank you very much. Yeah.
My twos and my threes. My apologies.
No problem.
And Salamat Datang, welcome to the program. This is the first time, and I hope to see you more often here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Pak Rick, Pak Ray. Thank you for having me. I will call you Pa here because Pa is meaning sure, and it is the way our Indonesian call their colleagues. So Pa or Mas or etc. But I will call you Pa Ray. So in this regard, I think Ambassador Angeli will know well about this
Yes.
Calling. Yes, thank you, Pade, for having me in this city. And also, I would like to convey my warm greeting to the audience of Globespan. I think it is an opportunity for us to know each other and also to have conversation on this issue. Thank you.
Angelique, go ahead.
Yes, I believe you were quite complete in presenting me. Of course, when we speak tonight, there may come some other details may come up, but it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight, especially together with the ambassador of Indonesia to Suriname, because I have very warm memories and recollections of my time spent in Indonesia as ambassador. Still have a lot of friends there, and so yes, I'm quite familiar still with the language. So I look forward to our discussion tonight, and also yes, it's a pleasure to be able to be a guest on Globespan. Thank you, Ray.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And for the purpose of our guests, we will be talking about Suriname, Guyana's relationship, and how do we expand on our cooperation with Suriname and Guyana, and how do we translate that relationship and that cooperation to benefit from the world's 16th strongest economy with a population of a market of 275 roughly million people. The constraints, how we move forward, what can we advise, and what can we change, and what can we do better, and what are some of the positions that our government should take to bring benefit, tangible benefit to our countries. So, Angelic, I will start with you. We'll talk first a little bit about Guyana-Suriname relationship. Then we're going to get into the whole piece with Indonesia and Malaysia. So, you know, bear with me a little bit, Ambassador. And Ambassador, you can always free to join and put in your input. You know, I know sometimes we may be speaking on sensitive subjects, and I respect your position and what you may say or not say. Angelique, my guests have asked me, and this just came up, several questions. My guests have asked me to ask you about this breaking news that the Republic of Suriname plans to open an embassy in Jerusalem. Is this true?
Yeah. Well, the news reached us also when our Minister of Foreign Affairs was visiting Jerusalem, Israel, and speaking with the Minister of Foreign Affairs there. And it caused quite a stir in our own country, in our parliament especially, when the news reached us, because we have we are a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious country, and we have, in all policies that we have, we need to look for a balance in such a way that everyone in the community feels respected if it comes to your religion, culture, or your ethnicity. And so also in our foreign relations, we have all these years, for more than 45 years since our independence, we have chosen a path of, say, walking in the middle, you know, staying in the middle. We are also a member of the OIC. We have voted for a lot of the resolutions in the UN, which state our conviction that you know, Jerusalem cannot be claimed as the capital of either Palestine or Israel before there is a peace agreement, and that both parties, including the UN, have to agree on how that will work. But none of them can. We will not support that either one of them claims it, and then, you know, as in opening an embassy. So we were all shocked, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs hasn't returned to Suriname yet. As it is at this moment, he should be attending the Summit of the Americas with the President in Los Angeles, and we were told that we have to wait for him to come back to hear his report. So we are looking forward to hearing that, because for us in Suriname, it's absolutely unacceptable to take a position as such. We are not against having good relations with Israel. We've had an honorary consul here for many, many years. And also in Israel, we have one. But we would not want to open an embassy in Jerusalem and kind of support then the claim of one country against the other, to use that as the capital. So we are waiting for him to return, but I look forward to us to sticking to our guns, to say it in that way, that this is unacceptable for a country as Suriname. We respect all the different views from Palestine and from Israel on how they wish to run their countries. But when it comes to Jerusalem, we believe we have to follow the road of the UN and adhere to the resolutions that we have agreed on up till now in the UN.
Okay. So I'm really surprised that this information caught the parliament, the government, the people of Suriname as surprised. I forgot, I wanted to post this slide on Suriname, and then I want you to just tell us a little bit about what is the ethnic, religious, and linguistic diversity of Suriname after this slide. Devin, can you post the slide on Suriname, some facts? The Republic of Suriname Um, for my Guyanese guests especially, some of the things I want to clarify. In Suriname, Surinamese speak Dutch. They are not Dutch. They are called Surinamese or Suriname. They're not from the Netherlands. The Netherlands, Holland, is in Europe where they speak Dutch as well, because Suriname was a Dutch colony.
Yes,
Suriname,
just like Indonesia.
like Indonesia, yes. Suriname is linguistically and ethnically the most diverse country in the Western Hemisphere. People may not know that there are over 10, 15 languages spoken in Suriname. If you look at the Amerindians, the Afrikaans, the Hindustanis, the Indonesian population, the Native Americans. Suriname has the largest Muslim population in the Western Hemisphere by percentage of the population wise. Okay, I know for some time before independence 1980, it was like 25%. I believe that number has continued to dwindle because of migration to the Netherlands. And Angelique will come in and correct anything. The Maroons are divided into 4 or more clans, the Akan, the Juka. They do not practice black magic and they do not practice Obia. Their religion is called Winti.
Winti, yeah.
Yes, so this is a myth in Guyana I want to clear. Surinamese is the only country in the world, Suriname, where a mosque and a synagogue face each other. The Indonesian people of Suriname came from the island of Java. They're not Japanese. Indonesian Surinamese are not Japanese, folks. They're Javanese, in Dutch, Javanese.
Javanese.
Yes. The Javanese, the Indonesian migrated to Suriname to fill a labor shortage beginning around 1890 to 1939, like the Hindustanis. And they bring with them Islam, a very tolerant, a very beautiful culture to this Republic of Suriname, and had added to its diversity. About 15–20% of the population some time ago. Anything you want to add that I missed, Angelique?
Yes, so we have the we call them also the Maroons, the descendants of the runaway slaves, as they were called, who settled in the interior of our country, and many of them have still kept the culture and the way of living. And there you have like also the Winti religion. But we also have a mixture of people who came from Lebanon, from Syria, also a mixture of Portuguese, Jews, and etc. So we have a full mixture of the world actually here. You mentioned the synagogue that is next to the mosque. So we have Portuguese Jews and Polish Jews. They were actually. So we have people from everywhere in the world, and that's what makes our country. I also always compare our country with crystal. You know, when you put crystal and the light shines through, you see all the colors, and it's beautiful to see. But you have to handle it with care, because if you don't handle it with care and it breaks, it falls into 1,000 pieces, and that's what is so important for our leaders, especially politicians. To realize all the time when we're making policies and making choices, if it's national or international, because every act we do, every step we take, we are playing with this crystal.
Okay. Excellent. So, Angelique, for our Guyanese guests, can Suriname and Guyana move forward in cooperation with its border dispute standing? And an example is the bridge that is going to be built connecting Guyana to Suriname.
Well, I would love to say yes, but I have to say that that our point of view from me and from the party I represent and many Surinamese who are not even members of the party, is that we have to settle our disputes first. And the reason is that if we don't settle it, people will start. The bridge is crossing the river where the dispute is about part of that river in the south. So it could easily result in setting precedents, and we don't want that. It's not healthy for neither country. We've seen that in the past years, Guyana has led a very, how do you say that, strong, active campaign that they believe that part of the border which is in dispute belongs to them. Suriname has done less of that. We have sometimes filed a complaint, the map that was used or something like that, but we have not been that vocal and that active in the world in presenting our point of view on that. And we have had how do you call that, a border commission that has had talks between Guyana and Suriname, as we also had with the French on the other side of our border. But it hasn't led to a resolution. And I believe that it's in our best interest to first settle this first, and then both of us know where we stand, and then we can in all peace.
Okay. It will take a lot of political will, and that is an issue for economics and investment too, to get this done. Another pressing question from Guyana is the holdup of issuing license to the Guyanese fishermen. Suriname had promised they would issue, I think, about 150 license for Guyanese fishermen to fish in Suriname water. We have great relationship. Why can't we just move forward and keep it right here, 150?
Because our law prohibits that action. It is very unfortunate that this happens, because these are, I always say this, we in every relationship you will have moments of stress, and then you'll find a solution and you'll move on. Also between neighboring countries, but some things are very unfortunate and shouldn't happen. And this is one of the things that shouldn't have happened, because our law is very clear. When I think it happened, but while the president visited Guyana, I think a year ago, that this was mentioned. And as soon as it reached Suriname, the Minister of Agriculture said it's not possible because our laws do not allow for that. And also other people pointed out that in our participation in CARICOM, we cannot give preference to one country over another. So there are several reasons why it cannot be done. And now there's something like, you could call it like it shouldn't be too big an issue, but it is an issue between the two countries at the moment. And it's something that could have been prevented if we only had verified before we spoke if it's really possible. I heard the president speak about other options. He was talking about having a fishery agreement with Guyana like we have with Venezuela. Yeah. He will have to talk to the whole sector here to find support for that kind of agreement, because we also have to deal with our environment and in our environmental indicators on if it's allowed to have more fisheries fishing done in our waters, because as we know, we have to keep monitoring that so that we don't deplete our reservoir of fish. So it is a balancing act, and the president, yes, I believe they're still looking for a solution, but it's becoming something that's really nagging.
Yeah, I think it takes the political will. There are many mechanisms in which there could be Guyanese can access fishing in Suriname waters. There are many countries that have bilateral agreement and they work these out, but So what you're saying, maybe there was no consultation with Parliament before this was issued, the promise was made.
And with the sector itself, and even with the Ministry of Agriculture.
Well, I did read that your fishermen and people, I read the newspaper, they were against some of this and so forth. But as you know, you're aware, there are a lot of Surinamese investing in Guyana today, and
yes,
quite a lot of Surinamese investment going to Guyana.
yes.
Now,
You expect me to comment on that?
yes, you're aware of that. That, you know, there's a lot of benefit
Yes, I'm aware
coming
of
out of
that.
Guyana as well.
Yes, that especially businesses, Surinamese businesses that have products that are well sold in our own country, they now find their way to Guyana, and they enter the Guyanese market, because I also think because of the developments in the oil and gas industry, that has the Guyanese economy is picking up, while our economy is still you know, not really picking up. It's going through very difficult times. So our business people, yes, that's how business people are. They look for the best place to do their business.
All right. I just want to remind our audience as well that and correct me if I'm wrong. There are about wrong number of 40,000 Guyanese who live in Suriname. Guyanese have fled to Suriname under the harsh and brutal dictatorship to Suriname when there was little in Guyana to offer them, and they fled to Suriname. They have made their living and their bread and butter in Suriname. While we may have border dispute and we have some of these issues, I remind our guests as well that Suriname and Guyana is a very important issue to our guests and neighboring country. The subject is of interest to them. Suriname has never turned back Guyanese. They have never refused them entrance to the country. They have never expelled them. And amongst all CARICOM country, we can say that Guyanese have been very welcome in Suriname. And it doesn't matter who was in power, which president, which party was in power. And
yes, that's true. The Guyanese have all. I mean, as long as I know, there have always been Guyanese in our country. You know, many Surinamese families also have Guyanese family because someone married into a Guyanese family. So you know, when it comes to that border dispute or no border dispute, that is no hindrance in Surinamese and Guyanese as a people finding each other. There is no hindrance in that.
Yeah. My mother is from Suriname, born Surinamese on her side of the family with a Guyanese connection. And they come from Plantation Waterloo in Chickrie. And I have to go there to Chickrie. There's 4 graves, 4 kabristan there. And my grandmother, my Kala and Kalu are buried there. So we're trying to fix this, and we want to preserve this graveyard, this kabristan in Waterloo Plantation. So I will be there in July. So we can get back to some Guyana Suriname question, but we're going to get our ambassador involved now, and we're going to bring the subject and talk about how Guyana and Suriname can cooperate and market themselves as small countries. As small countries, we have constraints, but how can we put our hands together and we can engage a big power like Indonesia? And that question, I'll start with our ambassador, how we can engage Indonesia. And we're talking here about trade and investment. Indonesia is superb in agriculture, in tourism, in Islamic banking, in the halal product. It's a member of the OIC, the Islamic Bank, and all of that. And there is so much on capacity building that we can get in the framework of South cooperation. And I would like our ambassador to initiate and talk to us about this, enlighten us on his experience. He's also, ladies and gentlemen, our ambassador. He's our ambassador, Indonesian ambassador to Guyana. He's the ambassador of Indonesia to the Republic of Guyana as well. And he was in Guyana a few times, and he's been traveling there quite a bit. Talk to us, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Pare, for the opportunity given to me to share my experience or my view on this regard, especially with the relations between Indonesia and Suriname, as well as Indonesia and Guyana. You are right that I'm the ambassador of Indonesia to Suriname, but also accredited to Guyana and CARICOM. I quite number visited Guyana when I presented first time is when I presented credentials to President Granger at the time, the previous government, in May 2019. And certainly, before continuing, I would like to review the bilateral relation between Indonesia and Suriname, as well as Indonesia and Guyana. With Suriname, we do have very strong relations. The bilateral relations between Indonesia and Suriname have been developing very well. We have we shared many common values, especially in the international relations. That, as you know, that Indonesia and Suriname also both are the member of OIC countries. Both are member of non-aligned movements and many others. And we also supported each other in the international fora. The recent ones that Suriname also supported the candidacy of Indonesia in the Security Council some 2 years ago, and vice versa. So our relations between Indonesia and Suriname is very well developing. Certainly, we have to admit that at the economic level, we are still very limited. The trade relations between Indonesia and Suriname at the current number is about $4 million US, and basically since 2016, then the trade value is quite increasing. But in 2019, it was the number was $9 million US. But the pandemic came, and then the trade is going down up to $5 million US. Basically, the last before pandemic, the trend is the trajectory of the trade between Indonesia and Suriname is increasing year by year until reaching the $9 million US in 2019. But after pandemic, certainly everything has been halted, almost halted. As you know, that even the container price from Indonesia to Suriname or to this region usually only about $3,000 US, but now up to $16,000, $18,000 US. So it's very tough for the business to do business in it. But with this now the COVID, even though it's not ended yet, but it's fading away. Maybe sooner or later this pandemic would be going away, and then it is opportunity for the both countries to do better. Likewise with the Guyana, we have a very good development in the relations between Indonesia and Guyana. At the political level, it's very good. We support each other in international fora. Also, both countries are member of the OIC countries and also member of non-alignment movement, which is we share the common values in this regard. And again, at the economic level, we have to admit that it's very limited, still very limited, and we do not have any record on investment yet. The trade, yes, we have it, but the investment not yet. recently we have there is business partnership between Indonesia, or the businessman from Indonesia and the businessman from Guyana on the aquaculture, so fish farming. And the values was within 3 years of partnership could be reaching $3 million US. And it is, I think it is a good start to make. But certainly there are a lot of much to be done from both sides, from Indonesia as well from Suriname and Guyana. We have to work hard. In terms of the role of the Embassy of Indonesia, certainly our president, when they appointed the ambassadors of Indonesia to all countries all over in the world, is that they presented the ambassadors must be marketing the Indonesian economy, marketing the Indonesian product to the accredited countries. This is one of the mission, is that it means that they are focusing on the economic, because like the political relations at the political level between Indonesia and Suriname and Indonesia and Guyana is very well. It is undeniable that we have a very strong relation at the political. But this very good political relations at the political level, we have to gain the economic gain. Otherwise, we could not get the economic gain from this very good relations. And I think this also echoed by the president of Suriname, President Chandrika Persat Santoki, that a couple of times, couple occasions he's mentioning that we have to be focusing on developing the economic fit, because at the political levels we don't have any problem whatsoever. We support each other in the international fora. We help each other, but at the economic field, yes, we have to admit that it is very less.
So, economically, we need to raise the trade volume, trade and commerce. Bottom line for both countries, Angelic, as you hear. Now, look, Indonesia is a major manufacturer. Guyanese businessmen and women, Surinamese businessmen and women can import goods from Indonesia to resell in Guyana. And I'm speaking simple language to our audiences, where they can make a lot of profit. There could be joint venture between Indonesian businesses and Guyanese business in the area of goods, in the area of tourism, the hotel industry, a banking industry. You want to open an Islamic bank in Guyana. They've been talking a lot about that recently. For 20 years, they've been talking about servicing the Islamic community with a bank. You can hook up with a bank in Indonesia. But how do we bring these people together? How do the Guyanese and Surinamese meet the Indonesian businesses and introduce themselves? There is distance, there is culture, there is language, but we have the Surinamese, Javanese community who can be the mediator and so forth to push this relationship. Angelic, you were working in Indonesia. Why can we not raise the volume of trade between Indonesia and Guyana if we kind of create a platform of a Guyanese, Surinamese, Indonesian Chamber of Commerce? And I'm going to go far as say, and Guyana opening an embassy in Jakarta, 16th largest economy in the world, 275 million people, because you got to be there. You have to be on the ground. You have to listen, you have to hear, you have to be active, and you have to have the will. Or is there a bias to favor China, United States, and India because of the cultural relations? Go ahead, Angie.
Well, I have to say, when I was in Indonesia, the Indonesian government provided me many opportunities to present Suriname in almost all over the country of Indonesia, all the islands. We traveled to so many islands. We always had invitations to present the possibilities for investing in our countries, for doing business with our countries. I also started at the embassy a business council, actually, where when people from Suriname came for business, they were interested in doing business, they could come to the embassy and we would do matching with the assistance of the Chamber of Commerce, the several chambers of commerce in Indonesia, as well as the Ministry for Trade and other relevant ministries. But what we found is that you know, in Suriname we import quite a lot of products from Indonesia as well when it comes to, if it's cosmetics or clothing, because we have a Japanese community here who still have very strong the culture and they know the food. What also was to our benefit is, of course, that very same Japanese community and culture, because we could build, through the cultural relationship with Indonesia, we could strengthen the political relationship. But the ambassador is right when he says that President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi speaks about improving the economic relationship, because even then also President Pinichan said that that's what we're looking forward to. The challenge is, I think, in the how do you say it, in the amounts that we are willing to import of certain products, because when I was there as ambassador, there were business people who were not interested in selling, say, one container every 6 months. You know, they are big exporters, and so they're looking for big exports. So, as you were saying, if you could get together 2 or more countries that import together and share the product, then you become interesting, because for them to make the effort to fill half a container or one container every 6 months, they say that's you know, that's not where they want to put their energy. And on the other hand, you can always talk about imports. That Indonesia has so many things you can import, and in several grades of quality. So, but whatever you wish, you can find it. But then, on the other hand, you also wish maybe to export some, and that's where the challenge also is, because many of our products are not export ready, or they are not in that amount that would be interesting for a big community, a big country as Indonesia, because you said 275 million or something Indonesians. I would always say to people that for every one Surinamese, there is 440 Indonesians. So that shows you the amount of export product you would have to have, unless you're talking about a niche market. So, but there is a lot of possibilities. You were talking about tourism. Offering a tourism product for the Caribbean to Indonesia was something that I started promoting while I was there as an ambassador to Suriname, to invite people from Indonesia here to experience not just people, but the writers for big magazines, for the big airlines like Garuda Airlines, Singapore Airlines, etc., to give an expose of Suriname, Guyana, and maybe Trinidad, or you know, so that they present a package deal for people from Asia traveling to Suriname to go through all 2 or 3 countries. They have one package. So it comes back to what you're saying, Ray. If the countries could provide products that they put together as 2 or 3 countries, then it could be a kind of appetizing, I will say, to a huge country like Indonesia to invest their energy and time in.
So a market strategy where Guyana and Suriname can market themselves to a larger power like Indonesia, and by bringing the private sector introduced in them.
And if I may, I mean, we have an embassy there. Even when I was there, Guyana didn't have an embassy there. So you could also even provide each other diplomatic services. Like, we have an embassy already there. So if we could find each other, we could say, you know, we do that together. but we have to find the way in which to do it in a way that we all feel like winners.
Some excellent point. You talk about the common market strategy, about the container, how they constrain, and you talk about sharing a diplomatic space. You know, soon we're going to have 3 embassies in the Arab Gulf. Indonesia the population is quadruple all of that or more. Why not open a Guyana embassy in Southeast Asia? Because eventually we're going to have to bring workers to Guyana for sure, because we're a small country, we shortage of worker, like the Vice President of Guyana says. We may have to bring Malaysian, Filipinos, Indonesian. We might as well begin the process. But going back to Ambassador, you hearing what we're saying? How can we get a Guyanese Suriname? Is there a chamber of commerce between Guyana, the business sector in Guyana, the private sector, and Indonesian private sector?
So far, we do not have yet the direct relation between the Chamber of Commerce in Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Guyana Chamber of Commerce. But now, in making effort to promote the economic relations between Indonesia and Guyana, Suriname, as well as the region, the government of Indonesia, now Ministry of Foreign Affairs, working together with the Ministry of Trade, we just developing the platform in the last 3 years. We call it INALAC, Indonesia, Latin American and Caribbean Business Forum. It has been held for 3-4 times, and it has a fruitful result that. Based on that, there has been increasing between the economic cooperation, economic trade and investment between Indonesia and the region. And certainly we invited the business communities from Suriname as well as Guyana to participate in this INALAC forum, Indonesia, Latin and American Caribbean Business Forum. And there would be another INALAC business forum in September or October. The date is not determined yet, but it would be even before Trade Expo Indonesia. And we invite the business communities from Suriname as well as from Guyana to participate in that. And it has been going on for 3 years, and almost every year before pandemic, we bring the Suriname's business communities to Indonesia. And it's quite pleasant that the business very enthusiastic for the business community in Suriname to go to Indonesia, and they will go again. So the key in this regard is that business to business contact must be further developed, must be further, and then from both sides. We have to be from both sides, not only one side, but from both sides. So I think the key is this business to business contact, and the government is facilitating that, like the government of Indonesia, Ministry of Foreign Affairs in this regard, establishing the platform, INALAC platform, to facilitate the business and business contact. And we can also encourage the Suriname's businessmen, also Guyanese businessmen, to at least to see the INA Access. INA Access is some kind of website showcasing the Indonesian product, various products from the consumer goods up to the high-tech product in that INA Access. So at least they can shopping around in a business. They can be accessed from Suriname, they can be accessed from Guyana, and regularly we have this kind of promotion in this community. And now also we are in the middle of the process of having the some kind of agreement between Suriname's Chamber of Commerce and Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. They have some kind of, we call it the memorandum of understanding between these two Chamber of Commerce. Just at least there is a letter of intent to from both sides to develop the economic relation. Then hopefully this memorandum of understanding or letter of intent could be signed soon between the two Chamber of Commerce.
You know, I invited the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce today to join us. Several emails I sent to them. But like we have said, it's the political will and the will to change the paradigm shift. You know, if people understand and see what's going on in Indonesia, the goods, the food, the tourism, the manufacturing, the oil and the gas sector, your agriculture, your food processing, your packaging, they would understand how we can benefit from Indonesia. But it is what they don't know. How many Guyanese are going to attend this expo that is going to happen? I do hope that somebody out there is listening, because here we have concrete steps that can be taken to advance economic relationship where the trade volume will increase. Angelic, you had an embassy there. I will say this, with the skeleton embassy of Guyana and Suriname across the world, there's not enough manpower to do the work and get the work done. So while we're talking about open an embassy in Jerusalem, can we manage one already and get this economic diplomacy, this beautiful word that the leaders want to talk, economic diplomacy? But where is the product? Where is the tangible manifestation of this economic diplomacy?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ray. That is definitely our biggest challenge, I think. Because when I listen to the ambassador, I'm not surprised, because that's what I experienced when I was in Indonesia as an ambassador. That Indonesia has the economic diplomacy in place, the strategies, the instruments. It's well thought out. I remember them also presenting us an investment portfolio, kind of, where they exactly worked out in which sectors they want investment and how much foreign investment and how much in local involvement there has to be. Everything was well prepared, well worked out. And so it's easy for investors or those who are importers to see what's available and get access to it. That's the challenge for our countries. I can speak for Suriname especially. Nowadays I hear good news from Guyana coming, that they're having strategic plans and so on. I don't know exactly how that works there, but in Suriname I know our biggest challenge is the economic diplomacy. We have been using this word for over 10 years, 15 years maybe, but the basics, the foundations have not been put in place. And if you keep using the word, it doesn't produce fruit. You need to invest in strong diplomacy and strong diplomats. Your local, your in-country system structure needs to be focused on supporting the activities from your ambassadors abroad and providing them with product, whether it's public relations or promotional products or fairs. Like the Indonesian ambassador is mentioning the fairs that they're organizing. I visited many of them, well prepared, very well done. Indonesia also had in Suriname up until the pandemic, I think, the Indo Fair almost every year. We were very privileged to that, so that we could get to know the Indonesian product. And those are the things that we don't have in place in our countries. And I agree with you, Ray. Instead of opening more embassies, we should be strengthening the ones we have in order to deliver what we need. Because in the world of today, it's not just political diplomacy you need, not just cultural, you need the economic part to play a role in order for our countries to develop, for our people to grow, and for our people to underwrite having embassies. Because that's why you hear so many people complain also about having embassies, because they don't see anything coming of it. And that is not as usually not the fault of the staff that's located at the embassy, but the problem is with the infrastructure that needs to be in place to have a successful economic relationship.
Ambassador, you hear us back and forth with this issue. What do you have anything to add to what we're saying?
Yes, Pared, thank you very much. Certainly, I could not. I'm just would like to say that the Indonesian embassy will do our part how to promote the economic cooperation between Indonesia and Suriname, as well as Indonesia and Guyana. The policy of the government of Indonesia is very clear that every embassy or every ambassador should be marketer, should be selling the product, should be inviting the investment. But in this investment, certainly with that Indonesian government is focusing on the inviting the foreign investment to Indonesia. But there is also approach now that how to encourage the Indonesian companies, Indonesian business to invest abroad. So this is Indonesian embassy, like Indonesian embassy in Suriname. We are working both sides. If possible, we invite the investor from Suriname as well from Guyana to Indonesia. But also we trying to find the opportunities from the companies in Indonesia to invest here. We listen a lot, or we hear a lot the requests from the small from the companies here in Suriname how to attract the Indonesian companies to invest in Suriname. For instance, batik. Here there is some small and medium enterprises here in Suriname. Dua concept, or maybe Ibu Angelic knows this Dua concept. They would like to have some kind of batik industry here. That instead of they importing batik include, but why don't they work together with the investor in Indonesia and to make the batik industry here, to make batik. And there is also the apart from the Indonesian businessmen, also they are interested to how to promote the economic cooperation with Suriname. A lot of requests how to sell their product, how to sell and then maybe that we can I can communicate with the small medium enterprises in the batik field. Just why don't you try to invest in Suriname, and then you can market your product to Suriname, not only Suriname but also CARICOM, Guyana, also South America. This is but certainly the business have their own logic. The business have their own logic. For instance, like this, we have been trying quite a long time how to develop the Bank Syariah in Suriname. They have the cooperation with Bank Syariah in Indonesia. We have a meeting several times, and then one of the cooperation is, among others, is just how to invest or to invest in the capital of the Bank Amanah here in this regard is Bank Amanah. Yeah, Bank Amanah. They would like to have a partner in Indonesia to invest here just for partnering. So, but it is not easy. But we are ready they are ready to work together. But to invest here, they are thinking how much, what is the population, etc. When it comes to the population, they are calculating the profit. Maybe they need to reconsider again. But if there is a political will to invest, maybe, but hopefully there is also some kind of high-level visit between the countries, between Indonesia and the two countries. Because if there is high-level visit, for instance, let's say the high-level visit, this will be giving the political impetus to promote the economic relations between Indonesia and the two countries. And hopefully we will have that kind of high-level visit in the near future, and we can do, or we can provide the political impetus for the businessmen to do this thing. But on the part of the Indonesian embassy, we are going to do our part to do our best how to promote this thing, and certainly there must be responded by business community in this regard.
Excellent point, and very practical information to move forward in the relations, Ambassador. However, I stress we in the Suriname embassy, the Guyana government embassy, they got to do their part. They got to promote their businesses, their people, to go there, to connect them, to make the synergy, you know, because it's not going to happen without them having the political will to make it happen. A few points I want to raise so I don't forget them and we can indulge in these. If Amana Bank of Suriname opens a branch in Guyana, which is badly needed, I've been talking to the head of the Central Islamic Organization of Guyana, Mr. Fazil Feroz, for the past 30 years, and they want to open one of this. An Indonesian company come and invest more money in Suriname, Amana Bank, and open an Amana branch in Guyana. Guyana has to pass legislation right now for Islamic banking. It hasn't happened yet. This is what's holding that back. Virtual meetings. We could have the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce have meetings with the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce virtually. We don't have to spend $10,000 to take a delegation and $100,000. We need to have the political will. The pandemic has shown us how technology can bring us together, create commerce and trade virtually. President Chan, high-level visit. President Chan Santoki is going to Indonesia, I believe I read, for the G20 meeting. He may be invited. I don't know if my information is correct. Maybe His Excellency from the Republic of Guyana will go there. And my last point will be invited as well. And my last point, does China have some special preferential treatment with Guyana and Suriname? I know it's a heavy loaded question and I respect if you want to avoid it or talk about it. Angie, Ambassador wants to talk, but I don't know which point he wants to raise.
Okay, maybe Ambassador Angie first, please.
Yes. So, Angie, let me give you the heavy loaded one first, and then I'll go back to Ambassador with, do you think China has a preferential treatment in Suriname? Had or have or current?
Yes. I believe that in the past years we often had the sense that then when there were issues to be dealt with when it came to China, that they were more careful in dealing with it, or that China had more in, how do you say it, excess than others. And it also had to do with I think loans we took from China, big projects they ran here. But I believe the Chinese, their way of doing their diplomacy is also different from other countries in the world. Like for example, the Chinese, they do the investment. They make huge investments because they want countries to become dependent on their products. So they make those investments. They come in. They sign those contracts, even though maybe in the beginning they don't see big benefits yet, but the benefits are on a political level more on the political level than immediately on the economic level, and later on it will pay off economically. So that is different from when you deal with, I mean, China can give you huge letters of credit, to just get products from them. But when you talk with and I think the ambassador will agree with me, Indonesia cannot afford to do that kind of diplomacy, to just give money, large sums of money just to keep the door open. They have another style of diplomacy, learning from each other, supporting each other, as the ambassador says, being very active from your embassy, going out to meet the business people and invite them in. That is the way they work. China has a different way of diplomacy, and many developing countries, and regretfully also Suriname, has often fallen into, and I call it a debt trap, in working with China. So yes, definitely, compared to other countries, they can feel as if China has more foot in the door than they do. For us as Suriname, and for us as we look at it, we are, for example, one of the things I was saying during the elections, we have to how do you say that? Take the one China policy. We have to put that under a looking glass. We have to rediscuss that because we have to see if it's really to the benefit of our countries.
Ooh, that's a heavy one, Angie. That's a heavy loaded issue here. Here's one more thing I want to ask you.
But it has to be said. It has to be said.
I appreciate you bringing it out here. I appreciate the candidness. Is it true, or was it a rumor that you can land a landed person from China with a lot of money in his or her pocket, you get a citizenship of Suriname? Was that indeed or present, past, or rumor?
I cannot confirm that, Ray, regretfully for you. I cannot confirm that, but I did hear the rumor, and it was not just the citizenship, it was also a driver's license, etc. So there was talk of that, there was a whole package, but I cannot confirm it since I never saw it really happening. It could be that it happened, but I don't have the proof.
Is the population rising with migration from China to the Republic of Suriname?
There have been a lot of there was a time when a lot of Chinese were coming in. I think that has a little bit changed for the past 2-3 years, but there has been before that, during the past I think 10 years, we had an influx of people from China that was that nobody could ignore.
And my last point, the logging scandal, the logs that were sold to China, and half of it was not being declared. Was this fact proven? I saw it on the German Deutsche Welle carried it, I believe.
Yes, there have been quite a few issues and cases. I think one case I even brought to the media about logs being exported that were not checked and verified. But a lot what we see oftentimes is that these cases somehow they disappear from the radar. So that is a challenge we have. The case I brought forward, I think that there was a ruling in that later on that a few people were held accountable, but nothing much has changed up till now. Nothing significantly changed in the processes that they're following. So Ray, these things find their origin in corruption, and regretfully, corruption is a disease we're suffering heavily from.
Okay, I indeed know this is one of your battles as your political party. You talk a lot about corruption, and stay on it, for people. I want to go back to our ambassador, and we want to talk about, and he can comment on anything we have spoken, no problem. But I would like, Ambassador, we talk about virtual technology. We talk about the gap of distance between Indonesia and Suriname and Guyana. There's no air connection in bringing the cargo. But I heard of Emirates, Danata went to Guyana and want to open a cargo facility. How can this change the dynamics of trade with Indonesia?
Yes, in this particular issues, certainly every opportunity would be taken advantage by the business community to increase their cooperation, and if there is that kind of effort to open the cargo airline in Guyana, certainly it would be great. At least the connection between Asia or Indonesia and this regard with this region would be more option to have that one, rather than very much dependent on one particular mode of transportation. But I think it would be great to in the end, and will be, I think it will make a difference as well. Certainly, hopefully that we can have, ideally, we can have some kind of, let's say, Garuda Indonesia flying to Suriname or this region in particular would be great as well. But again, it is a business consideration, business calculation. It's not easy from but the government certainly will facilitate that thing as well. I would like to raise the point that you mentioned before with regard to high-level visit, the invitation. That's now the Indonesian government is assuming the presidency of the G20, and there will be summit in November, 15 to 16 November this year. And the meetings, the series of meetings of the G20 is already started in this year, January up to now. And Indonesian government would like to take the benefit of this presidency to reach out to various parties of various countries in the world. So that's why, apart from the member of G20s, Indonesian government with this as a president assuming presidency of the G20, inviting several countries and international organizations to participate in it. So in order for them to be able to participate, to join the conversation in the G20 forum. And in this regard, one of the invitees that, apart from the G20s and members countries, is CARICOM is invited. The chair of CARICOM is invited to participate in the series of meeting, and certainly would be invited as well in the summit. And it happened that the chair of CARICOM from July to December is Suriname. So that we invited the government of Indonesia invited the president of Chandrika Prasad Satoki to visit as chair of CARICOM to visit Guyana and to visit Indonesia, to Bali. And hopefully we have some kind of indications that there is a plan to the Suriname to attend. And also in the next in July 7 to 8, there is foreign minister meeting of G20, and also Minister of Foreign Affairs of Suriname, Mr. Ramdin, also invited to attend that. But it happened that the Suriname is hosting the CARICOM summit from 3 to 5 July. Maybe very tight schedule for His Excellency. But hopefully, we hope that Mr. Ramdin would be able to attend the summit, because it is very important. And I think also very important for CARICOM to be there, to participate and discuss and share their interests, share their vision and mission to in the forum. And hopefully this kind of exchange, high-level visit would be great in promoting the economic cooperation, because let's say we preparing for the visit of the high level president. Every sector must be busy preparing for that one, including the economic sector, business community. So everybody is preparing for that one. So hopefully with this kind of visit would be encouraging the business circle and promoting the business cooperation between the two countries and as well as the Guyana. So Indonesia invite the chair of CARICOM, and it happens the chair of CARICOM in that period is Suriname. So in this regard, because in the first half of this year, the chair of CARICOM is Belize, and we also invite Belize to participate in the work stream of G20, in the Sherpa meeting, in the ministry and other ministerial meeting, etc. So we invite Belize. So for the period from July to December, we invite Suriname as chair of CARICOM to participate in the series of meeting of G20.
I understand. So definitely there is no bias here. There's no bias here that the president of, I see the rationale. Suriname is the chairman. He's invited the president, President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi. it is my hope that the president of Guyana visit Indonesia. I think our last president who visited Indonesia was likely President Bara Jagdeo, and I think President Jagan Chedi Jagan for sure visited when he came back to office, because he had a very special relationship with Indonesia as a founding member of the non-aligned movement. He was, you know, we have this historic ties with Indonesia. Has the president of, was I correct that President Suharto visited Suriname?
Yes, President Suharto
Yes, he
visited Suriname in 1995. Yeah.
Yes. And if I'm correct, Ambassador, he was accompanied by the Sultan of Yogyakarta.
I need to check in the
I'm not
record.
sure.
Ambassador. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yes, certainly yes, I believe so. We have to check it again in the record, but President
Yes.
Suharto indeed was visited Suriname in 1995, and after that there is no yet high-level visit, but the invitation, standing invitation between the two presidents is going on. So hopefully that will be in it.
Yeah.
And for the Guyana, certainly we welcome. The government of Indonesia welcome if the president of Guyana plan or to visit Indonesia. Certainly very much welcome, and it is a good opportunity, and hopefully vice versa. But for the high-level visits that not the level of the president, but our foreign minister, Minister Retno LB Marsudi, visited Guyana in 2019. And it was
Yes.
the first visit of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia after 24 years or so. So, but even though it is, but there is a visit, then there was a visit at that time, and then the relations between the two ministers, and Minister Ron also had the opportunity to pay courtesy visit to the President Granger at the time. It's very fruitful and very friendly in conversation, very friendly conversation, and would be fruitful, and hopefully we can have that kind of visit in the coming years.
Yes, I remember she visited Georgetown, indeed, and she met with the foreign minister. Greenwich was the foreign minister then. I do hope that President Widodo do visit Suriname, and there's such a special bond with this community in Suriname, and reinvigorate, put some life into the Surinamese community there, and especially going to Komewaina, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a sister city agreement with Indonesia. Yeah.
So, Angie, you're looking forward for a presidential visit from Indonesia to Suriname?
Yes, I believe those initiatives, like the ambassador was saying, they give an extra boost to the relationship. And on that high level, usually the presidents are accompanied by business people who can see firsthand and can negotiate maybe new ideas, new deals they want to swing with their partners in the host country, and it can give a boost on all kinds of in all kinds of sectors for the relationship to flourish. And reach its potential, its actual potential, because I believe we have a lot of potential in building this relationship, also economically. And when I speak economically, it's not only in money I speak, but also in sharing technology, sharing expertise, growing our sectors, you know, and becoming supporters of each other on the different continents. So I think that there's a lot that can be done. And when you have these high-level visits, it forces all of us to step up, you know, to step up and revisit the relationship and see where we can improve. And every step we take towards improvement is a good step. And I look forward to that, because when I was in Indonesia, I saw the potential. I put forward my as we say in Dutch, I put forward my best leg You know, I I enjoyed all the options that were provided to me by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia to travel the country and present Suriname. And I found that there was, you know, even though we're small countries, as you say, Ray, there was an interest in our country that was sometimes that could compete with the interest in the US, the interest in Mexico. The Indonesians were genuinely interested in what they could do together with Suriname. And it may have its roots in that we have a shared history at being both colonies of the Dutch. And moving from there, Indonesia gained their independence 30 years before us. So they have a lot that we can learn from. But it was such a good feeling, and there were so many opportunities which were shared with Suriname. But as you know, in this world, sometimes you have to be ready to step up to the next level. And I look forward to it being now, you know, that there has been a lot of seeds planted from Indonesia in Suriname by the Indonesian embassy, by our own embassy and embassy staff, by people who visited Indonesia and came back with good ideas and shared them with our Chamber of Commerce. And I look forward to it being now that after the pandemic, we realize what's important to us, that as a country, we can make huge steps forward, but maybe as a community of countries, we can make larger steps and make a bigger difference. So I look forward to the future of improvement.
You know, our governments must use the diaspora, must use the population in Suriname, Guyana, to propel relationship, to fill the capacity gap. We must use the cultural, like you wrote that paper, you wrote this paper, and one day we want to come back and talk about that Islamophobia, cultural diplomacy, and all these things. That, what, you know, we Guyanese can go to Suriname, the Guyanese listen, you know, and we can learn Indonesian if we want to get in the tourism industry. Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, French, Hindustani, and this will help us with the tourism product. You know, oil and gas is just temporary. Indonesia, Indonesia, one of her biggest earner, if I'm correct, like Dubai, it's tourism. And Indonesia, you live there, and I haven't been there yet. It's like I'm going all over Asia, but I haven't been there because Indonesia has to be a 2-month time I spent. Guyana talks a lot about tourism, right? We have to bring.
Yes, if I may, I think 2 months is not enough if you're going to visit Indonesia.
Yeah, you're right, Ambassador. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That's a teacher's schedule, right?
Yeah.
So
at least 3 months.
An excellent tourism product. Our government talks about tourism.
Yes.
You know what? I am not bashing. I love our Guyanese, Surinamese people, but the culture, the hospitality, the fineness, the extravagance of the tourism sector, the servicing of it, is enormously special in Indonesia. Such a refined culture of people that if we can bring these Indonesians to help us build our tourism product in Guyana that our President Mohamed Irfan Ali talks a lot about, and we open an embassy in Indonesia, and we have Indonesian coming to Guyana to work, Filipinos in the health industry and nurses, then we have a lot of people moving. Then it becomes viable to have an airline, an air company to connect our country. It's not just cargo, but moving people, working. And with Emirates wanting to open a cargo business in Guyana, it could bring our country closer together. We have 5 minutes to go, and I'll let Ambassador and you have the last word before I close.
Yes, thank you, Barry, for meeting me. Certainly, it is a pleasure conversation for me and an opportunity to share the my views on the relation between Indonesia, Suriname, and Guyana with the audience of Globespan. And before I'm closing that, I just would like to talk about this tourism. Certainly, Indonesian tourism is now Indonesian government is focusing to develop the tourism, and we have some kind of project 10 New Bali. We have Bali, but we will have a 10 New Bali, including Borobudur, Lake Toba, etc., and all over Indonesia. And you are right that it is not enough to stay in Indonesia just for 2 weeks, but you need 3 months at least to be able to appreciate the beauty of the Indonesian culture as well as the Indonesian natural landscape. So 3 months is, and then certainly we welcome the cooperation on tourism sector between Indonesia and Suriname and Guyana. And talking about the Indonesian worker, we have already in Guyana approximately 50 Indonesian workers there, mostly in the timber industry, forestry, as well as the fisheries, but also gradually on the mining sector as well. And in Suriname, we have now, based on our database in the embassy, that we have about 450 Indonesian working here. And the key word is just how to promote the economic cooperation, economic relations between Indonesia and Suriname, as well as Indonesia and Guyana. It's just to increase the people-to-people contact, business-to-business contact. And we have already the agreement, free visa agreement between Indonesia and Guyana, as well as Indonesia and Suriname. So we have facilitated the people to visit free visa to Indonesia and vice versa. And the key is people-to-people contact, business-to-business contact, and the government is facilitating them with all its resources available. And hopefully with this kind of synchronization between the business and people as well as the government will develop further the bilateral relations between Indonesia, Suriname, as well as Guyana. Thank you.
Angie?
Yes, we have homework to do as countries. The bilateral contract with Indonesia has to be further developed and also given more content by, having our embassies fit with diplomats who have the necessary skills to do what's necessary in the country. And also we have to prepare our promotional products. We have to put in place the political will on a structural basis, not now and then, but all the time. And we have to dare to see across the challenges, because I think oftentimes we only see the challenges. Yes, it's far away, it's costly, but as you say, that there is a lot of other options to get over those challenges. We have to see the possibilities and dedicate ourselves and commit ourselves to get to actually execute what's necessary to make it all a success. Because there is a lot we can do as countries, as Suriname and Indonesia, but also Suriname and Guyana and Indonesia. It is of course for Suriname and Guyana an opportunity to find each other and find where they share and can build a product together, and that they can offer together to Indonesia, to increase the how do you say it, the market size for the Indonesian exporter. Yes. So that is on the one hand, and on the other hand, to take advantage of all these opportunities that Indonesia provides, to go and get to know them, to go and get to see it, and to go get the success we've been talking about, but hasn't materialized for a full 100% yet.
Yes.
And then, of course, one last thing, as our president is going to be the head of CARICOM, I think it's quite an opportunity for the CARICOM to make him, to give him all the tools and instruments necessary and all the information to make him really the spokesperson and the business person for CARICOM when he goes to the G20, so that CARICOM gets most out of it that's possible. And of course, for Suriname, it's quite a unique position that we can also say, you know, Suriname and Surinamese business people take advantage of that opportunity.
Yes. Thank you, Angie. Before I say goodbye to the two of you, I want to just thank our tech team again, Devin, Mr. Nohar Singh for his sponsorship, and for our community listeners, thank you for listening to us. We do hope to have Ambassador Julang Pujianto again with us, and Angelic Del Castillo. Angelic, Badank, Dewey, thank you very much. Ambassador, Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you again. We hope
Waalaikumsalam.
to have you both again here on a Globespan program. And maybe we get the Vice President of Guyana and the Guyana Chamber of Commerce, and we can talk about creating Indonesia, Guyana Chamber of Commerce, and join with Suriname, something tangible that we can take from this session here today. Again, I thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.